everyone. Welcome to our open house. We're just giving everyone time to join and get connected to audio. Thank you so much for being here with us on a Sunday. We're so excited. This is probably one of our favorite times of year because this is the week where we get to announce our schedule for next year. So it is a lot of fun to do that every end of February, early March. Okay, well, the open house that you're at right now is for our main lesson classes, 5th through 8th grade. So if you join us again in a couple of hours at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, it will be our open house for kindergarten through 4th grade. So you're welcome to attend both. And then this Thursday night, February 29th, at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, is our compliments classes open house. So we really want the main event tonight to be that you hear from our teachers. And that is true for all of our open house events. So we break it up by classes so that you don't have to spend too much time with us at one time. Okay. I'm going to start tonight, like all of our main lesson classes, with our opening verse. And then after that, we'll tell you a little bit about our program and then get right into the teachers. Then we'll have time after that for questions. If you have questions in the meantime and you want to put them in the chat, that is fine too. All right, please join me in saying our opening verse. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow in me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of humankind, a servant of sacred things, selfless and true. And now I'll turn it over to Heather Parrish.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. We love telling everyone about Waldorf education, and we would be able and love to do that all day long. It can take months to tell you everything there is about Waldorf education. And so what we like to do at Lotus and Ivy is share a lot of this information at our informational chats that we have once a month on Thursdays. But tonight or today, we're really focused on sharing our teachers with you. So what we would like to do to introduce them and give them a grand welcome is to share our video that a Waldorf student created. This is made by a Waldorf graduate for Lotus and Ivy, and we want to share this with you to share just a little insight about what Waldorf education is and how we share it at Lotus and Ivy. To learn more about Waldorf education and what we do at Lotus and Ivy, you may choose to join us at one of our grown-up education events, one of our chats, or even read our blog on our website. We would love to share with you just a little bit more about our program here. We do have 3 different types of classes at Lotus and Ivy. And those different types of classes are the main lesson, which we're really going to focus on sharing with you today.
If you're a
All
web
of the
designer, here
classes
are
on
4
Lotus
Wix
and
Studio
Ivy
features you
are
gotta know.
live and interactive.
So first on the list, Section Grid. I'm talking about a revolutionary tool that lets you
Okay, all of our classes at Lotus and Ivy are live and interactive, and these teachers are going to share more information with you about what they teach, information about themselves, and so we will have them mostly sharing about our main lesson. We also have skills classes, which includes math classes as well as language arts classes, and of course our complements classes, which Sarah's already spoken a little bit about, and we're going to have a special open house just for our complements, which our teachers who teach our complements classes will be sharing information about. We have all of our complements from this current program year coming back, and we have a few new ones that we're really excited about sharing with you all. Without further ado, I will begin to introduce our teachers at this time. We're super excited to start with our 5th grade main lesson teacher, Ms. Olga Domikos.
Hi everyone, welcome, and I'm thrilled to be here because I've been really enjoying this work that I've been doing with Lotus and Ivy and all the wonderful 5th graders that I have been teaching. This is my 3rd year with Lotus and Ivy, so going on to the 4th year next year. I am the 5th grade main lesson teacher. I teach 2 classes each day. There's an earlier and a later class. It's the same curriculum. It just allows for students to choose the right time for them. What works best with their time zones and with their schedules. My background it wasn't in education when my children were born, but it very soon became. Education became everything in my life. They led me to Waldorf. When I was searching for a school, I was very picky, and I wanted the best for my children, and that's how I found Waldorf education. And I very quickly fell in love with the philosophy, the curriculum, the pedagogy, and everything that entailed in this very, very rich learning environment. So I raised my 3 children who are now, 2 of them are in college, and the 3rd one is graduating from high school in a couple of months. So after they started Waldorf in the Waldorf school, I took my teacher training and I worked at the Waldorf school in Florida, in Boca Raton, Florida, as administrator, as class teacher, and subject teacher. And I completed my Waldorf teacher training at the Sunbridge Institute in New York, as well as a master's in education at the SUNY Empire State University in New York. I am from Hungary originally, but I currently live in South Florida, enjoying the warm weather there. So that's where I join my students every morning, 4 times a week for the main lesson students. The 5th grade, I somehow I have a special connection with 5th graders. I feel maybe there's a 5th grader inside me. I just love, I love how they listen to stories, how I see their eyes widen when they hear something special or beautiful, amazing or new, and how I can see the thinking happening and the feeling as the story touches their hearts. I teach a variety of ancient civilizations through mythology and history. There is a block on geography of North America. There's also botany and dinosaurs and insects, as well as 2 math blocks in the year. The classes usually begin with a little bit of movement just to wake up our bodies and get us focused, and get our attention to the learning that we need to do. The movement is always related to what the block is, the main lesson block is. So for instance, when we're learning about ancient India, we do yoga in the beginning. And when we learn about China, ancient China, we do a little bit of Tai Chi. For math, there are rhythm games for just a few minutes in the beginning of the day. On most days, there's a story, there's a discussion, and there's some kind of a hands-on activity as well, something that deepens the understanding of the topic. For instance, when we learn about ancient China, because the Chinese discovered a compass, we actually make a real working compass in class together. There's lots of painting. We work with clay, air dry clay, as well as homemade clay. We make our own paint. We draw. We sing. It's a very, very colorful curriculum, and I really feel honored that I've had the chance to teach it and to get to know all the students and the families that I work with. I also teach math in the 5th and 6th grade. There's a 2-day class and a 3-day class in each grade. I cover the same material. In the 3-day class, we have a little more time for practicing. I have a little more time to go back and explain and just go a little bit slower, but it is the same curriculum in both classes. The math classes are similar to the main lesson in that I like to begin with some kind of rhythmic activity. We either play with bean bags or do some clapping games just for a couple of minutes. There's always mental math, about 8 to 10 questions at the beginning of each class. So you can really see after a few months how much the students improve in their mental math abilities. And then there's a whole 5th and 6th grade curriculum that you can find on the website. I don't think I have time to get into all the details, but I just wanted to give you a little introduction about who I am and what I teach. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Domikos. Next, we have our 6th grade main lesson teacher, or who teaches most of our 6th grade main lessons, Ms. Samantha DeLasa.
Thank you, Heather. Olga, that was beautiful. I wish I could have done class 5 in your class when I was younger. You're amazing. Very, very similar to you as well. With my children, I so badly wanted them to have a Waldorf education, and that's what led me to become a Waldorf teacher as well. So I am a longtime Waldorf homeschool parent. I have 5 children of my own, and I'm a qualified Waldorf teacher. My eldest son is 21. He was Waldorf homeschooled all the way, and he's currently a special needs educator and a volunteer firefighter, part-time firefighter here in Ireland, really humanitarian based. And then my 19-year-old son, I've noticed his temperament was also completely different to my eldest son from the beginning, and he's now doing his 3rd year mechanical engineering at Waterford University. So it was beautiful to have the curriculum meet both of them at where they needed to be met. And my 2 daughters, my eldest is in class 8 currently, and my class 2 student, Gabriella, is enrolled with Lotus and Ivy. She's so in love with her teacher, and she's thriving under the Lotus and Ivy program. So I'm really blessed to have found Lotus and Ivy, not just for me, but for her as well. I began my Waldorf career just doing a lot of reading. There wasn't a lot available online. And then I started working really closely with Waldorf teachers at the local Waldorf school. And then I progressed through 6 years of really intensive part-time study, where I qualified with a degree in education at UNISA in South Africa, and then also with my Waldorf pedagogy and anthroposophy certificate while I was homeschooling them. So that sort of led me to become a lifetime learner, and that's what I try and encourage all my students and my children to do. I'm still learning. I'm currently enrolled in an online Portuguese course, which is crazy. And then very exciting, I'm starting a Waldorf Learning Support 3-year intensive, which is online and part-time, which is exciting. And then here in Ireland, I'm doing an advanced art course so that I can major and get my honors in education. So yeah, that's what I try and encourage the children to just strive for, to just be a lifelong learner. I grew up in South Africa, did most of my training in South Africa, taught in South Africa. I taught at the Village Waldorf School, a very small Waldorf school in Pretoria. And then I moved to Ireland. I taught at the Dublin Steiner School and then moved to the country and taught at the Kildare Steiner School. Then COVID hit, and that's where my online career started. So this is my 4th year teaching class 6 online. And similar to Olga, where Olga has that affinity with class 5, I feel the same with class 6. It's just such a magical connection that I have with the children. And what I love seeing is how their connection unfolds through this online community. It is so amazing. They are yearning to have that social connection, and it's really possible to create. I also do the 2 main lessons like Olga and our last main lesson block. They actually stay half an hour to 45 minutes after class to just socialize, and they're busy with this game that they've created that's connected to the main lesson. And it's just amazing to see children voluntarily stay extra for class. So, you know, the recordings are very, very long, but I really encourage that sort of thing. I've also taught class 7 twice online and class 8, but class 6 is just such a magical curriculum. I'd like to go through the whole curriculum, but like Olga said, it is available online. We start off with ancient Rome, and I have a small video that I wanted to show to you that one of my students sent to me with all of my main lessons. The curriculum includes a multifaceted way to deliver the subject. So there's always, like Olga says, the movement and the rhythm and the poetry, and there's opportunities for drawing and for art. But after all of my main lessons, I encourage them to do a block project. And this is where they can show me what they've managed to embrace about the subject. So if I can just share that, and then I'll come back and tell you about the rest of my classes. Hope this works. It's only a minute long. Is that showing? Okay, so this was for Rome. This is our very first project, and I just suggested that they do a Roman villa. Some of them did mosaics, but this student presented this incredible villa. Yeah, I thought that spoke for itself. So all my classes promote a sense of community and complete engagement in the material. And on top of teaching the class 6 main lesson, I also do the introduction to Latin. And that was brought about also through the motivation of trying to tie in this curriculum so beautifully. We're learning about ancient Rome, so learning about Latin is wonderful. And that class has also taken on a life of its own, where we're transcribing Harry Potter, because that was the vote. So we're doing Harry Potter in Latin and creating our own little texts, and that's a lot of fun. I do the class 5, 6, 7, and 8 language lessons, and class 6 and 7 math. And then class 4, I do the math enrichment, which is just a really fun class where we can enrich the work that they're already doing in main lesson through games and through skills and through movement and activities. And then woodworking, we've just started our semester 2 woodworking, which has also gotten off to a wonderful start. So if there's any questions after, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Samantha. That was wonderful to hear about class 6. Very, very interesting. So yeah, I've been with Lotus and Ivy for 3 years now, so it would be the 4th year. in September when we start our new year. And I was a Waldorf teacher at a school in near London, a place called King's Langley. I taught my class from class 1 all the way through to class 8. And then I did some part-time teaching of lower school classes again, different main lessons, fitting in family commitments and so on. And it's been amazing, really, teaching with Lotus and Ivy, because it, just as my colleagues have said, it's incredible what connections you can have in this online format. Just as Mr. Lisa was saying, with her students staying on, and I remember, so when my class 8 language arts class were wanting to, they were saying, oh, we have such wonderful discussions, let's all share our email addresses and set up our, let's set up Zoom meetings, and we can carry on chatting, and it's so lovely. It's just so lovely to see these connections between these young people, and the warm community, the warm and supportive community that Lotus and Ivy is. All the teachers, the students, the grown-ups, it's wonderful. So I've been teaching classes 7 and 8 this year, and I start off class 7. The beginning, the first main lesson of the year is the Renaissance, and this is such an exciting main lesson, learning about all these amazing changes in our understanding of the laws of perspective and how that revolutionized art and architecture. And this year we've had a perspective drawing main lesson as well for the first time. And I'll be sharing some of the student work with you shortly. They learn about some of the precursors to the Renaissance, such as Cimabue and Giotto, as well as the great Renaissance geniuses that Leonardo and Michelangelo, Raphael, and their, not only their artistic creations, but also scientific discoveries, and how there was this explosion of ideas and invention. So I'll just share my screen and you can see some of the student work. Okay, so this one of the projects, maximize that, hopefully you can see that okay. So one of the projects the students do is to do a reproduction of a Renaissance masterpiece. Now this is just a small section of a painting called The School of Athens by Raphael, which is in the papal apartments in the Vatican. It's a very, very detailed painting with many, many figures. So I told the students, don't try and do the whole thing. But they used the grid method so that they took a color reproduction and then they superimposed a square grid on it, and then they drew a grid on a piece of pastel paper, and then they drew one square at a time in order to get the correct proportions, just as the Renaissance artists did in many cases. And you can see how this student has really delighted in all these wonderful colors. I think that's Plato and Aristotle there. I think Plato is the one here, and we've got the colors representing fire and air, and then I think it's Aristotle, it's earth and water, more down to earth. There's that gesture, and then there's the gesture of fire and air, more spiritual, and then the more earthly of these philosophers. So maybe if I can find another, let me see if I can find another one. I think it's actually from the same painting, another detail, but there are so many characters. Then I'll show you also a main lesson book. This is let me see if sorry, I'll just try to get so that you can see that's better. You can see that nice little diagram of Brunelleschi's dome. This was an amazing feat of
Miss
engineering.
Nicholson, we can't see it. I think maybe if you
Oh,
stop share and then
okay.
share the new one.
Yeah, sure, I will do that. Right, let's see. Okay, I'll start again. Can you see it now? Is that okay? Yeah. So this is an essay a student has written about the life and work of Brunelleschi, and she's done a beautiful little diagram of Brunelleschi's dome, which was an incredible. Nobody knew how he did it. Even today, it's so clever the way it was designed that there are some mysteries remaining as to how he managed to get all those bricks to stay. You can see there's a structure. It's a double dome actually there, but it's got all these ribs and a kind of scaffolds to support it, and then there's a herringbone. Anyway, I won't go into all the details, but you can see all the care and effort that's gone into this wonderful piece of work. So looking at also, I'll stop sharing and I'll show you some of the perspective drawing work. This is something which really helps the students learn to look at the world in a very new way, with greater precision and exactitude, so that they're getting to that age where they want to know, what are the rules of learning how to do things. It's not an impressionistic drawing. It's quite mathematical. And having done the Renaissance main lesson, they're very excited to learn the laws of perspective and to put it into practice with their own designs, their final project being a cityscape. And that's something which is appealing to them at this age, not to only look at nature, but also looking at what human beings have created in the city, world of the city. So I think I'll have to do the same thing, sharing and then stopping sharing. So I hope you don't mind if you just bear with me for a moment. Let's see. Oh goodness, I'm not doing very well here. I think. Can you see a drawing of? Yes. Okay. So here you can see the student has learnt to have the buildings going towards two different vanishing points on the left and right. We've also learned how to draw an arch in perspective, how to draw it correctly, stairs, and so on. I'll stop sharing so I can just show you some more work. Let's see another one. There's another one. So they had a lot of free reign in how they wanted to design them. So we have the roofs as well, how to draw different types of roofs in perspective, and you can see the students decided to have lots and lots of streets, which is great, and looking from above rather than from below, or at eye level. I think I've got one more which has got a very nice bridge. I can share with you if I can find it. Oh, it seems to have disappeared from my. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, sorry. This is okay. Okay, I don't know if you can see that one. Maybe not. I'll try again. Okay, there we are. So this one, they managed to do this. This is quite a feat, learning how to do this arch receding into the distance. So I was very impressed. But it's really quite amazing what they can do in just the 3 weeks of the perspective drawing main lesson. I mustn't talk for too long. Also, geography, we have in class 7, we have the geography of Europe, geography of Africa, and in both these continents, what I try to do to meet the needs of the growing adolescent is looking at the polarities between different, mountainous areas and flatter areas, and the warmer and the colder areas, looking at the course of the major rivers, the sea coast, the coastal areas, the inland areas. So they get a sense of the variety and the difference and what's similar, what's different about the different continents of Europe and of Africa. They also have the Wish, Wonder and Surprise, which is a creative writing main lesson, which is the first time that students do their work, which is creative from themselves. Rather than being a retelling of main lesson content. So they are looking at 3 soul qualities: wish, wonder, and surprise. We look at source material of poetry, prose, stories, and then they can find the inspiration to write their own work. Moving on to class 8, we study a Shakespeare play, Romeo and Juliet, for the first time it's a Shakespeare play, and it's really a play about teenagers falling in love, having encountering parental opposition, having feuds, disputes, difficulties. It's one extreme to another. It's a real tragic comedy. It's got many funny elements and joyful elements, and then it's got the pit of despair, very much mirroring the experience of the 8th grader. They have this short story main lesson, really enabling them to hone their writing skills and writing essays about stories they've written, as well as writing their own short story. We do a lot of grammar in this main lesson, but it's all grammar which serves the writer's craft. It's not abstract grammar, but it's grammar for to make them better writers. And then there's the class 8 project in the language arts lesson, their own free reign of subject, and which is practical, artistic, as well as written, and with a presentation to the whole community. This will be in May. That is, there'll be 4 events, I believe, but because there are many students, too many for one class, but they'll be in May. I think the details are on the website. And we also study A Tale of Two Cities, which mirrors it reflects what they do in the Revolutions main lesson, which I'm sure Mr. Brow is going to tell us about as well. Poetry also connected with the Industrial Revolution. But sorry if I've gone on too long. I've just got so much to say, and it's so exciting. I can't wait to start another year with some new students with Lotus and Ivy in September. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nicholson. And next up, we have Mr. Donovan Gay. Thank you so much.
Hello, welcome. Nice to see you all today. My name is Donovan Gay. I am a class teacher, and I've been teaching for coming up to 25 years now. And my first run-in with Waldorf education was when I was a teenager. My brother was having a hard time with the local state school. My mother found the Waldorf school, perfect fit for him. Because he was going, I had to go. I went kicking and screaming because I was leaving all my friends behind. I was a teenager, I was stroppy, hated it with a passion, I believe was a word I used often. By the end of the year, I don't think he would have been able to get me to leave if he tried. And I stayed and did class 8 to class 13 in Johannesburg. And later on in life, after doing some study in London, I rediscovered Waldorf education and did my teacher training in Emerson College in Sussex. Waldorf education is, it's not a methodology, it's not anything, it's something that you live, as far as my experience. It's something that's going to come out of you. I don't think you can just give someone a book and they become a Waldorf teacher. I think it's something that lives in you. And you can hear that from all the teachers that have spoken already, because each of them have told you that they're doing the best curriculum ever. And for me, that's always a sign that the teacher's engaged in their work, because whatever we're teaching should be the best thing that we have done. This is the best curriculum, this is the best main lesson. And when we do that as teachers, when we engage with the lessons like that, we engage the children as well. Because if we go in and go, oh, I've taught this block before, yes, we're going to do the Romans, you get into that rather dry, horrible way of teaching, and the children pick that up and they switch off. But if you come in and you're excited because you just found out something new about a new Roman emperor or something in science, you're filled with the enthusiasm, and that just sort of lights these fires in the children. There was a Swedish, Norwegian, Scandinavian anthropologist quite a few years back called Jürgen Schmidt, and he wrote a book about a collection of essays where he spoke about lighting fires, not filling buckets. And I think for me, that's really what Waldorf education is. We've got to light the fire of enthusiasm in the children. We can all of us can give children information, and information is just bucket filling, and it gets us nowhere fast. So when I come across my main lessons, I always try and feel inspired and excited and check out the newest research, because you teach a history block one year and you get to the next year and you look at that and they found something new. So there's always something new to bring to the game. I've been a guest teacher this year, and I'm coming back for more next year. I've really enjoyed my work at Lotus and Ivy. It's been great to get to know the classes. The students are amazing. And I've taught a variety of different things this year. I did I started the year also with platonic solids. So we're looking at the 6 platonic solids. And it's a great sort of math block because actually it's just really practical. We get hands-on. We start drawing and constructing and engaging in geometry and mathematics in a totally different way than the children are used to. I've taught some astronomy where we've looked at some of the quality of historical astronomers and looking at this sort of movement historically of people being quite closed, opening their minds and their minds getting bigger. And then once we sort of move and discover the universe around us, we then traveled out into our cosmos, looking at different planets, taking us right out into the Kuiper belt and things, and some new things out there, and giving the children also, again, like the other teachers made projects, giving them work to do themselves for them to be inspired. And what's always fascinates me is when they have this free reign, that the large sort of jumps that they make. I mean, there's several of the pupils who are doing projects on black holes and coming back with this quite heavy-duty scientific stuff, which they seem to have had a grasp on, because when they shared the information, they did it so confidently. So again, it's just a sort of another example of, as a Waldorf teacher, am I inspiring them to learn? Are they going away and sort of feasting on information and living into themselves, which is, just great. Also this year taught some geography work, and again, like Ms. Nicholson has spoken about, it's really getting children to compare and contrast. How can we compare one area to another, or one group of people? Or we looked at Asia, comparing one part of Asia to another part of Asia, and how one country differs from another, and why is it different? What are the geological changes and stuff like that? And really try and focus on understanding differences, because I think geography, Steiner said geography, one of the most important subjects we can teach children about, teaching us about humanity, about our interaction with other human beings. So really bringing in that human element into it, and what's changing the world, and how we've changed the world to suit our needs. I've also did some history, which I know Mr. Bauer does quite a lot, but I was lucky enough to do a block on revolutions. We did the American Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, and the French Revolution, and just awakening in the children this idea of, I mean, for me, a lot of history is about consequences. Something happens, and this happens, and then that happens, and we get this series of events that lead to things. And we get to revolutions where we break boundaries and we change things, and we have these moments where sometimes a small group of people can make a decision that can affect very large groups of people. So that was really exciting work to do with them. And currently I'm working on an introduction to algebra. So going back to the math, which is great fun, but just taking it from a very basic point of view, how do we write our main lesson books? How do we write the instructions for someone who doesn't know how to do algebra? How do we put all the basics in place so that if you ever get stuck, you can open your main lesson book and go, oh, and if that happens, what's the order of operations? Okay, well then I need to remember this, and if I do that, so they've got all the information there for themselves and lots of practice work. And so next year I'm hoping to build on those main lessons and more. And I also take opportunity once a week to teach painting and drawing. which has been great fun with the group that I've had. We have a lot of fun. At the moment, we're working in pastel, so we make an awful mess, but everyone seems to be having great fun. I think there's lots of vacuuming and cleaning up after each lesson, but there's been a great deal of excitement with that. So, so I'm really just looking forward to coming back next year and really engaging with more of the pupils and hopefully seeing some of the ones that I've been teaching this year again and engaging with new ones as well. So hopefully I get to meet you and your children in one of the classes that I teach. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gay. And next we have Mr. Brower.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, good. Well, I don't know if that's good. I'm John Brower. I have just a couple of years ago, I thought I retired from Waldorf class teaching. I started in 1975. All right, let that sink in. I taught 4 classes complete, 1 through 8. And I also have 4 what I call relief pitching appearances, where I would teach an 8th grade and then a 7th and 8th, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, which was my last group, and a 7th and 8th. And all along the way, I was doing movement teaching. I got to study spatial dynamics with Jamin McMillan in his very first class, right, long ago. I actually trained with Jamin in Detroit before he started the spatial dynamics. Let's see. So I enjoyed teaching movement as well with him. I was also athletic director at the Washington Waldorf School, and I loved to coach. And I coached girls basketball. That was my favorite. And just got to go to the Washington Waldorf School's got a brand new gym, and got to go and see the kids play in that. What a wonderful thing. At any rate, so from 1975 on, it's been like a love affair with teaching. I just look forward to every day. You know, summer's fine, but it was like, yeah, okay, come on, let's get back down to work, you know. And so it's been. Next year, currently I'm doing, I have 2 blocks for the 8th grade. I did one on the revolutions, and I'm just about to start one on 19th century U.S. history with Lewis and Clark and exploring the Great West and the great real estate deal of the Louisiana Purchase, right? Of course, the Native Americans weren't included in that one, and we'll touch on that. I also have the Age of Exploration, a block with the 7th graders, which is perfect. And the thing about Waldorf Curriculum is it hits the kids right where they live. If you want to study what a 7th grader's like, study the curriculum. It'll give you a preview of what's coming to you as a parent, right? So as a 7th grader, it's the age of exploration. You can believe they're going to be exploring all kinds of things, right? And it's a wonderful time, and it's a wonderful guide. The curriculum is. Let's see. Next year I'll have a revolutions block with the 8th grade. And Mr. Gay explained that already, but industrial and the American and the French revolutions. I'll be doing a geography block of Asia, which will be exciting. And then again, US 19th century history. And again, with 7th grade, with the Age of Exploration. So that's me in a nutshell. I've loved every minute of it here. I thought I was retired, and I'm not, because a couple of teachers, one former student, Victoria Mansouri, let me know about this when I was all retired and growing mold, you know. Woke up and boom, got into this. But for me, it was a challenge because I'm not the greatest with computers, but I had so much help with this. You know, I would be not worried about my lessons, but petrified I'd push the wrong button or what. But I think I've learned it adequately, and I still have the enthusiasm. So anyway, that's me.
Yes, you've done a great job. Thank you so much, Mr.
Sure.
Brown. Next, we have Miss Tesha Brown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's good to see you here. And as Heather said, I'm Miss Tesha Brown, and I have been teaching in Waldorf schools for 15 years now. And I had also the joy and pleasure of going to a Waldorf elementary school. So started very young in preschool, and then just continued from there. I have training in eurythmy. Some of you probably know what eurythmy is, and some of you don't. So I also am a lover of movement and like to have movement in my classes as well. And then I also have training in Waldorf from Antioch University. And I have had the great joy of teaching the sciences this year, specifically the physical sciences. I've been teaching physics to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and also chemistry to 7th and 8th grade. And that's been lots of fun. I actually had the opportunity a number of years ago to start a small middle high school. And so had this opportunity to work with these middle school students who have so many amazing questions. And in working with the sciences, we're starting to really ask these questions, and in the different grades, sort of looking at different questions. How are things happening? What is actually happening? Why is it happening? Why do we care that it's happening? All of these big questions that middle schoolers are starting to ask. And so that is really wonderful. And in Waldorf Middle School, we get to study acoustics and optics. And right now, my block that I'm doing, we are at the stage where we're doing electromagnetics. And so that's been really fun, looking at magnets and at their relationship to electricity. And that is where we are right now. I'm not going to talk very long, but I will show you just a little bit of what we're doing right now. Of course, it's tricky, but we have been working with some of the principles of electromagnetics. So this is just a simple electromagnet that the kids made, picking up things like pins and paper clips and things like that. And then I have some little motors that we've been making in class, and then sort of like bigger motors, which we've been doing. And the kids get to then, of course, do their main lesson. Whoop, that popped out. I was wondering why that wasn't my kid. Get to do their main lesson pages sort of based on these little experiments that we're doing with, actually quite loud, with motors and with electromagnets. I also am a great lover of things like poetry and singing, so of course we always do that as well in our main lessons. And I think that the other teachers have done such a wonderful job of just expressing how every main lesson seems like the best one, because there's so many interesting, exciting things that you get to explore with these students. And in the sciences, that's so much the case. There's so many amazing phenomena that the students have all around them in their lives that they maybe haven't really thought about or discussed. And so discovering things is really a big part of those blocks, which I have the pleasure of teaching right now. I will just share, again, I'm not going to talk too much, but I will just share sort of based on these motors, just the kind of work that might happen. For instance, here is just a little sample of somebody did a motor, and they drew the picture of what they did, and then they have some observations of what they did. And then someone else's is totally different. And that's the other thing. Every student does their work in such a different way and has their own personality that they bring to their assignments. And that's really wonderful too. just seeing their growth and seeing what they bring to the assignments is such a pleasure. Online, you learn so much about these students, and they're such wonderful, bright human beings. And then I will just share one more thing. Just one of my students this week who shared her video of just getting her motor going. And so she's just playing with it and, you know, having some fun. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing this year, and it's been really fun. And hopefully I look forward to seeing you next year as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown. And next we have Mr. Vikas Shaw.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah. So like many of the other teachers, we found Waldorf education when we were looking for an alternative means of education for our newborn child. He's 11 now. So, I was living in the United States for about nearly a decade. And when we decided, we were so overwhelmed by Waldorf education that our whole family became a Waldorf family. Both my wife and I took Waldorf teacher training and became Waldorf teachers. And we put our son in the Waldorf school. We found an opportunity back home in India where we all went to the same Waldorf school together. So I was a class teacher for about 3 years, taking my children in grades 4, 5, and 6. And when COVID struck, I moved to teaching online, and I've been teaching math, particularly online since then, math the Waldorf way. So it was quite passionate about teaching math. I acquired my specific math teacher training with Jamie York's workshops for teachers. And so I believe that every child can do well in maths, provided math is brought to meet the child in the right way. So by the right way, I mean, first, we try to bring math concepts from going from the concrete to the abstract. And as opposed to blind procedures, I interact with my students to guide them to discovering the concepts themselves. So when they engage their will in discovering the concepts, they understand it and it stays with them. And then we further work on it through art, sometimes even magic tricks, puzzles, games, and fun. So that helps them to retain what they have learned and also practice what they have learned. So I'd just like to show you some samples of that. Yeah. So this is how I introduce the Pythagorean theorem through a puzzle where children cut like so 2 pieces of the smaller squares and jigsaw them to form the larger square. So it goes without speaking, and they form the concept hands-on by themselves that the largest square in the right angle triangle is the sum of the smaller squares. Yeah, this is the hands-on way of discovering why angles in a line add up to a 180 degrees. We also have a discussion about it's why 180, why not any other number, because it's all linked to astronomy. Why 360 and why half of 360 is 180, and that's why the angles in a triangle, why the angles in a straight line and in a triangle add up to 180. Yeah, so this is some This is actually the vesica piscis and how the different shapes, the different geometric forms are hidden in it, and we bring them out. And here you see some examples of art. We learn geometry through art, and this is actually the construction of a pentagon. And when it is done in this colorful way, it stays with the children, they remember it. And this is about a hexagon. So presently, I'm teaching the math track class at Lotus and Ivy. It's going to be my second year now. And yeah, that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll wrap up pretty quickly, but we did want to share with you some very important information about our enrollment. So if you go on our website right now, you will see, as of today, on our homepage and under enroll, our enrollment application for the 2024-25 school year. You'll also see our schedule of classes. We haven't changed much. You won't see, we were very lucky to not have to increase tuition. You may find that in one or two classes, but across the board, we didn't increase tuition, which is something that we're very proud of this year. We have some new classes, but like Heather said earlier, we also brought back all of the classes that we have been offering this year and in years past. Same thing that if you're familiar with Lotus and Ivy, you'll notice that we have our application fee, $205. So that's all you need to do to register is fill out our application, pay the application fee, and then when the first tuition payment is due on July 1st. And once you fill out the application, you'll see the payment schedule. So you'll see when all of the payments are due for the coming year. You'll see here that for some of our families, they may just want to take Spanish at Lotus and Ivy, or maybe they just want to take math at Lotus and Ivy. So depending on what you take, we do have a reduced $55 application fee for if you take less than 2 hours a week in classes at Lotus and Ivy. And we can help you figure all of that out if you have any questions about your schedule. Let's see. We do have a new grown-up gateway this year. So if you're a current student at Lotus and Ivy, you'll be so happy to know that you can sign in with a unique password for each student and view your schedule. Some people, when they register on March 1st, by the time September comes, they have forgotten maybe exactly what they registered for or what day and time one of their classes is. So that will all be there in the Grown Up Gateway. You can see your payment history. You can link to all of the class syllabi, which includes the class supply lists. And you'll have your Zoom link for each class and your Google Classroom code. So everything will be in one spot this year. It will be very easy for you to find everything, and we're happy about that. All right, and then just stay tuned for what we have in August. We usually have our student orientations, our grown-up orientations, and all of that will be on our website under important dates. All right, let's open it up for your questions. While you ask questions, I'm going to leave this important upcoming dates slide up here so you can make a note of any upcoming events that you might want to be part of or ask us about. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat or you can just unmute and ask. And for those of you who will watch the recording, if you have questions, you can always email us at lotusandivyvirtualclasses@gmail.com. You can find that on our website. You can find our phone number there. You can even text us from the website. All right. I don't think I can view the chat, Heather. Do you see any questions there, or should we go ahead and close? No, okay. Well, we like to close with a closing verse, and I'll turn it over to Heather to wrap it up.
So before we do our closing verse, I just wanted to thank everyone again for being here today. And as a special thank you to all of you, we would like to extend our invitation for you all to go ahead and try out that new Lotus and Ivy enroll.com link. It is live and ready for you to apply when you are ready. So as a special thank you, please go ahead and feel free to use that link prior to March 1st if you are a new or an existing currently enrolled family, and prior to March 14th if you are a new family to Lotus and Ivy. We're going to still announce these dates and still send all of this information out to everyone, but because you're here today, we wanted to extend that special invitation, and we thank everyone for being here. Please note these dates upcoming, and we'll go ahead and do our closing verse if you'll say it with me. Merry we have met, and merry we have been. Merry we must part, and merry meet again. Thank you again for being here, and everyone have a great rest of your day.